A lot of people said, we don't like the yellow costume. I said, okay, how about red?
Hey, welcome back to ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Arey. Ever since Charlie Cox debuted as Matt Murdock on Netflix's Daredevil, Marvel fans have been clamoring to see the Man Without Fear fight with the Avengers. In 2016, there were even rumors that he was going to appear in Civil War.
Really? Is that true?
Yes, it is. And in fact, if Marvel couldn't negotiate sharing Spider-Man with Sony, there's a chance that that might have even happened. But it wasn't until 2021 Spider-Man No Way Home that we actually got to see Matt Murdock in the MCU's prime timeline. It took another year before we saw him in costume as Daredevil. His first masked appearance in Earth 616 was on the Disney Plus series She-Hulk, setting the stage for his own solo series. Now, that show, Born Again, is going to debut in 2024 and will feature his old Netflix nemesis, Wilson Fisk, played perfectly by Vincent D'Onofrio.
It makes me feel alone.
Now, seeing Daredevil in the MCU was a big moment for fans of the character and of the Netflix show.
I'm a really good lawyer.
But a lot of fans might have been surprised to see his old costume. Instead of the dark gym sweats or his traditional red outfit, Daredevil was wearing a certain shade of yellow.
Like the gold devil.
And you know what? It kind of worked, but still, it was a little surprising to see. So today, I'm going to answer a question a lot of people have been asking since Matt's She-Hulk appearance.
When is dinner?
What? No, the question I'm talking about is on the thumbnail. It's why is Daredevil yellow? I'm going to talk about the yellow costume's origin in the early Daredevil comics and why Marvel probably decided to switch it up for the MCU. I'm also going to talk about what Matt's next costume might look like in Born Again or even beyond in Avengers the Kang Dynasty. But before I do, let me get one other question out of the way.
What is for dinner?
It's ham and eggs.
Oh, no ham for me, please. It'll make me poop through a screen door.
All right, you got it.
Person, you're making a video. Why are you on your phone?
Oh, sorry, Doug. I'm trying to build a Klingon Katinga battlecruiser, but I don't have enough ore.
But that doesn't have anything to do with Marvel stuff.
Yeah, I know. I'm playing Star Trek Fleet Command, by far the best Star Trek game I have ever played, and they're the sponsor of this video.
Oh, what's it like?
Oh, dude, it's awesome. It's a free-to-play, open-world MMO in the Kelvin timeline. Now, the galaxy is about to go to war. It's got classic Trek stuff with Klingons, Romulans, and the Federation all vying to control the Alpha and Beta quadrants. You build fleets and bases and recruit Trek characters to man your fleets. I like this game because it's perfectly balanced. It's got the right mix of ship-to-ship combat, strategy, resource gathering, and it's incredibly immersive. It is like living in the future of Star Trek instead of in our current year of 2023. Personally, I like to stick to Klingon ships because they're cool and it's also easier to install a cloaking device. But that's just me. Play the game however you want, figure out how you want to build your own fleet. It's also very cool how they incorporate the Star Trek characters. You can unlock heroes, villains, and rare side characters, and each of them brings different attributes to your ships. I mean, the graphics on this game are amazing, and overall, it's just a great balance of world building, simulation, fleet construction, and character abilities. You can join online alliances of millions of other players. There's more than 30 missions, new officers, and they've just introduced a new ship, the Defiant. Now, when you get the game, I suggest you use the Amazon App Store because this will give you 20% off in-app purchases in Star Trek Fleet Command, and you get Amazon coins to save on coins, app, and other in-app items. So download Star Trek Fleet Command with our link in the description below, and if you don't have the Amazon App Store yet, make sure to download that first. Amazon App Store is a great way to save money while you play this awesome game. Now, the other question you might have is why I keep referring to Daredevil's costume as yellow. Unless your TV is stuck using the Amaro filter or something, you probably say Daredevil's She-Hulk appearance was more gold than yellow, and you wouldn't be wrong. It was pretty much gold alongside with Daredevil's traditional red as an accent color. Now, the reason I keep saying yellow is because these colors are a deliberate homage to Daredevil's yellow origins.
Hey, sometimes a guy just likes his skin to look its yellowest.
Now, this is important. This original yellow costume gives a lot more insight into what Marvel has planned for Daredevil in the MCU. Whether he's wearing gold, yellow, lemon, canary, or any other shade of yellow.
I wish I knew what you were talking about.
I know, buddy, I'm sorry. So, Daredevil was created in 1964 by Stan Lee and Bill Everett, with Jack Kirby providing a lot of design input. When he debuted in Daredevil #1, he wore a costume that was yellow with black and red accents. So this original yellow costume was clearly modeled on circus acrobats. His name, after all, refers to stunt performers known as daredevils, men and women without fear who would make death-defying jumps and other dangerous feats for the audience. Even The Simpsons acknowledged this in one of their earliest episodes. Bart's hero is a motorcycle daredevil named Lance Murdock.
He's okay, folks.
He's obviously inspired by Evel Knievel, one of the most famous real-life Daredevils ever, but Daredevil debuted before Evel became a household name, so it's fitting that his Simpsons counterpart shares a name with the Marvel character. In his origin story, Matt makes a suit out of his father's old boxing robes, which is where the colors come from. Matt's dad, Badland Jack Murdock, didn't want his son to use physical violence. Matt's father is famously killed after refusing to throw a fight, giving Matt the tragic dead relative origin story that every great superhero needs.
He killed my mom.
It wasn't until Daredevil number 7 that Wally Wood invented Matt's all-red costume that we're more familiar with. That issue is also notable because it features a classic battle between Daredevil and a certain Submariner.
All my enemies call me Namor.
Now, if you're wondering why they made the change, well, Stan Lee sums it up pretty well.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Sorry, I meant this.
A lot of people said, we don't like the yellow costume. So, being a man who makes very profound decisions, I said, okay, how about red?
While Stan Lee might be a little more comically glib about the color change, red is actually a perfect choice. While his name might refer to stunt performers, Daredevil is also known as the Devil of Hell's Kitchen, and his helmet clearly evokes the devil with its horns. Like Batman, Matt can strike fear into the hearts of the cowardly, superstitious criminals that he fights by appearing like the devil, and red sells the idea a lot better than banana yellow. The devil motif also plays really well with Matt's strong connection to his Catholic faith. So Daredevil's yellow costume in She-Hulk is a nod to his earliest appearances, but it's much more than some random Easter egg. Marvel's choice is definitely a deliberate one. In that same interview, Stan Lee jokes about how he picked red out of the blue.
I hate to disillusion people, but that is the amount of intensive study and thought and research and focus group meetings that we had in determining a color of a costume.
Now, Marvel was relatively small potatoes in 1964, so of course they didn't use focus groups. But the Marvel of today is very different, and even in the smallest choices, they probably get analyzed and reanalyzed by Kevin and the Disney Brain Trust.
They like itchy, they like scratchy. One kid seems to love the Speedo Man.
Daredevil showing up in She-Hulk with a new look says a lot about where the character is and where he might be going. Unlike, say, She-Hulk or Iron Man, Daredevil enters the MCU with a previously well-known cinematic presence. Like Tom Holland's Peter Parker, introducing a character like this to the MCU also has to take his previous incarnations into consideration. We're not just learning about this new character, but also comparing them to what we've known before, whether subconsciously or not. She-Hulk's Daredevil tells us a couple things. For one, it's a little less dark. Literally. By adding some color to his red costume, by brightening up a bit, it shows this version of Matt Murdock will be a little less tortured. Born Again will give us a more complete look at the MCU Daredevil, and it'll likely be violent and gritty, especially compared to, like, say, Ms. Marvel. But it won't be episode after episode of gloom and doom. This Matt smiles. He wisecracks. He still has hallway fights with street-level goons, but it'll have a little more flash. Literally, a little more color.
She-Hulk smash.
The new color scheme also hints at Daredevil's place in Marvel's larger world. He's not just a street-level vigilante. Gone are the dirty gym sweats that he uses for most of the Netflix run. Nope, this Daredevil is a bona fide superhero like Tony Stark, which is exactly why his colors mimic the granddaddy of all MCU superheroes, Iron Man. Like I said earlier, his costume isn't really red and yellow, it's red and gold. It's the same color scheme Tony's been using since the very beginning of the MCU. Now, interesting side note, Iron Man's original comic suit was also bright yellow. Well, it was actually gray, but his more iconic look was, for decades, red and yellow. Like Daredevil, the yellow was replaced with a more muted gold. And live-action superheroes seem to have a thing for muted colors these days. Even Superman ditched his red underwear for maroon before getting rid of them altogether.
Hashtag bring back Soup's underwear.
Right, high five. By sharing Iron Man's color scheme, Daredevil is showing us that he is ready to fight alongside other A-list superheroes. She-Hulk was just the beginning. Don't be surprised if Matt ends up going toe-to-toe with King the Conqueror in the next Avengers film.
Yes! Yes! What's the worst that can happen?
Born Again will still likely be more of a drama tonally than shows like Hawkeye and Loki. But with his flashy new colors, Matt is a comic book hero brought to life, and Born Again's story is likely to reflect that. So let's talk a little about Born Again's story. It's over a year away, and we still don't even know much. We do know that Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin will show up, likely sporting his flashy MCU outfit, a Hawaiian shirt.
Oh crap, I certainly shouldn't have said it was illegal.
He'll also probably be sporting an eye patch after getting shot in the face by the anti-hero Echo. Expect her to show up at some point too, especially since Daredevil will be returning the favor in her upcoming series. But what can Daredevil's costume tell us about this new show? Well, it's likely to be more comic booky and lighthearted than the Netflix series, and given the title, Born Again, and the fact that it's properly reintroducing the character to the MCU, I think we'll have some story dedicated to his origin. The Netflix series already gave us some insight into how Matt became Daredevil. It showed us how a truck accident blinded him as a child and strengthened his other senses. We saw Stick teach him how to fight and move stealthily like a ninja. We saw his prior relationship to Elektra and how Badland Jack's fate led to Matt's crime fighting. But I think there's more to the story. It will either inform the larger arc of the season or maybe show up as a full-length flashback episode. Born Again's first season is a whopping 18 episodes long, double the length of most other previous Disney Plus MCU shows. So they got a lot of room to play around. These flashbacks could very well be based on a 2001 arc of Daredevil comics called, coincidentally, Daredevil Yellow. Written by Jeff Loeb and illustrated by Tim Sale, Daredevil Yellow is a modern take on the Man Without Fear's origin story. They're framed by present-day letters that Matt writes to Karen Page, who had recently died in the Guardian Devil arc. The story focuses on Daredevil's earliest days as a crime fighter, still wearing the iconic yellow suit made from his dad's boxing robe. We get more detail about Matt's earliest days as a lawyer and the life his father wanted for him, a life outside of Hell's Kitchen. Matt's relationship with his father is one of the key components of the character, and while the Netflix series doesn't gloss over it, there's still a lot of ground there that can be covered. Born Again can use this as a foundation to build whatever supervillain plot they have planned, or it could serve as a thematic bridge to the overall story. After all, the last thing Jack Murdock ever wanted was for his son to be some bruiser beating up thugs in an alley. Matt has to wrestle with defying his father's wishes if he's going to use his heightened abilities for the greater good. It's like the reverse of the with great power comes great responsibility dilemma.
What was I supposed to do? Just let him die?
Maybe.
Daredevil Yellow also features appearances by some Daredevil-adjacent villains, some of whom we've seen on the screen before. This includes Electro, the Owl, the Matador, and the Purple Man himself, Kilgrave.
What?
If Daredevil Yellow proves to be the source material for more than just Matt's new look, maybe we'll see these characters in Born Again. The Fantastic Four also cameo in Daredevil Yellow, and while I doubt Born Again will be where they finally make their MCU debut, I wouldn't be opposed to it. In fact, it would kind of be amazing. At least give us Ben Grimm. Kevin, is it too much to ask for Ben Grimm? Please?
Damn, boy, stop at it.
But I think the main thing Born Again will borrow from Daredevil Yellow, besides the yellow, is Matt's relationship with Karen Page. Deborah Ann Woll hasn't been confirmed to reprise her role as Karen in the Disney Plus series, but I can't imagine they would leave her out. Karen is the main romantic interest of Matt's life, although there are many romantic interests in Matt's life. Daredevil Yellow is framed by his letters to her shortly after she died in his arms. His sadness, his guilt, and regret color every part of the story. Karen might join the MCU only to soon depart it, making room for Jen Walters or other romantic partners for Matt. But it would also give Matt and his show the dramatic weight that some fans worry a Disney Plus series would lack. Now, I'm not arguing that they should fridge Karen. That's where a character, typically female, is killed off solely for another male character's development. As well as Deborah Ann Woll, Karen is a fully realized, multifaceted character, and her death would ideally be written in an organic way that moves the whole narrative forward. Similar to how Tony's death informed Peter's arc in Far From Home, or T'Challa's death affected Shuri, the loss of Karen would bring Matt into the next chapter of his story. The Daredevil of the MCU might start out smiling and cracking jokes, but if he loses the love of his life, he might begin to take on the darker, more tortured tone of his comic book counterpart. Again, this is where Daredevil's costume could play into the story. See, it's not just pretty colors that look cool. Like all good stories, especially ones based on comic books, imagery is just as vital to storytelling as dialogue and narrative structure. However, Matt enters Born Again. After 18 episodes, it's likely he's going to leave a little different, and a new costume would be a great way to show that, especially in the MCU, where costume changes are sort of their thing. Christopher Reeve's Superman wore the same outfit for 4 movies. Sony's Spider-Man kept the same look for 3 movies, but the MCU is different. Iron Man had a different look in every film, as did Thor and Cap. Spider-Man will wear multiple costumes within the same movie. Part of this is probably Disney trying to make as many toys and collectibles as possible, sure, but the MCU prides itself on being a cinematic version of Marvel's most expansive, interweaving comic book world. Costume changes are part of comics' DNA.
Tell you what, throw a little Hot Rod Red in there.
Switching up the looks of their heroes, even their names, is part of the charm of these stories. It's fun, and at the end of the day, that's kind of what we're here for. So I think it's very likely that the red and gold look Daredevil sported in She-Hulk won't be his last time. We'll probably see some cosmetic changes in Born Again, or maybe the show will culminate in the season finale with a bold new look, like in Daredevil's Netflix first season or with Sam's Captain America suit. And if we don't, whatever serious stuff happens to Matt in Born Again will probably lead to a new look in future appearances, like the next Avengers film or other crossovers. At some point, we're likely to see the traditional all-red costume. But I think it'd be cool if we get some more obscure looks from the comics along the way. If Matt does lose Karen in Born Again, or if some other dark stuff happens to him, it would be a great opportunity to break out one of his black costumes. Remember, black costume equals tortured hero. Daredevil could wear this suit with red eyes and serrated silver plates, making him look even more violent and dangerous. He could also switch to something like his Beast costume from when he was inhabited by a demon. This look, which also has glowing red eyes and gnarled horns, looks more like a devil than anything Matt has ever worn. Another black suit in his wardrobe is the one that Nick Fury gave to him. Fury loves giving superheroes black suits.
Take off your clothes.
Or his suit could be a little more low-key, still incorporating black, but with red boxing bandages around his hands, similar to the Muay Thai ropes that Matt uses in Daredevil Season 3. A darker take on the Daredevil look would be an easy way to visualize what his character is going through internally, similar to Hawkeye's transformation into Ronin after the snap. Another option is for Marvel to give Matt a more high-tech, armored costume in the upcoming Avengers films, like Peter's Iron Spider suit from Infinity War.
Mr. Stark, it smells like a new car in here!
I mean, this is a long shot, but wouldn't it be crazy if Daredevil wore some kind of Russian doll version of his own Veronica suit to fight She-Hulk? That might be asking a little too much. But who knows? Maybe none of that's going to happen. Maybe the yellow suit, like Charlie Cox, is here to stay. And honestly, that wouldn't be the worst thing. It's a good look, and I know Jen Walters wouldn't disagree. And just a reminder, click our link down in the description to download Star Trek Fleet Command today from the Amazon App Store. You won't regret it. The game is so much fun. What do you guys think about Daredevil's new suit? What do you think is going to happen in Born Again? Let me know in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Arey.